Is the mob making a comeback in Buffalo? A criminal investigation has already snagged a federal agent who is allegedly protecting his friends in the Mafia. Many thought the mob was extinct, but I-Team Chief Investigator Charlie Specht introduces us to one person who has good reason to believe otherwise.
Last month, federal prosecutors indicted DEA agent Joe Bongiovanni for allegedly accepting bribes from criminals with ties to what they called Italian organized crime. Last week, the feds followed up with a raid at Pharaoh's nightclub, which is operated by Peter Gerasi, who is related to the Tadaro family that was accused decades ago of running the Buffalo mob. Documents obtained by the I-Team show this as part of a wider federal investigation into organized crime in Buffalo. And this has left many to wonder, is the Buffalo Mafia still dead, or has it somehow come back to life?
I would have trouble believing that there is an organized crime family in Buffalo.
Few know more about the Buffalo Mafia than Lee Coppola, who as a newspaper and TV reporter chronicled figures like Stefano Magaddino, the powerful crime boss from Niagara County.
He's been ancient history for 40 years.
Coppola says the Mafia died a slow death, hastened by loss of revenue and federal prosecution, like the probe in the 1990s that purged crime figures from the ranks of laborers Local 210. He says prosecutors may be grasping to connect current criminal activity to the old crime syndicate.
What happens a lot of times is that there are criminal elements, people who commit crimes or people who are investigated for crimes. And if they happen to have a last name that ends in a vowel, the tendency is to say, oh, there's a criminal crime family, there's La Cosa Nostra. The Mafia is thriving and growing. I have trouble believing that.
Attorney Joel Daniels, who represents Pharaoh's operator Peter Gerasi, said in a brief phone interview there are no Mafia ties to his client. But former Hamilton, Ontario police detective Paul Manning says any reports of the mob's extinction are inaccurate.
That's just not true. There's definitely a presence.
He acknowledges the Buffalo crime family was weakened in the 1990s and 2000s, but says recent gangland-style killings across the border show they are starting to become active again.
They're nothing more than a satellite family to control Ontario and parts of Montreal.
Manning says New York City crime families are using Buffalo figures to fight a proxy war in Canada, hoping to tap into the 9 million people in the Golden Horseshoe region.
You've got a re-emergence because there's so much profit to be made north of the border.
One aspect he has direct knowledge of is Mafia efforts to infiltrate law enforcement. Manning went undercover in the mob, an experience that nearly cost him his life. The allegations against DEA agent Bongiovanni follow the same pattern, and the I-Team has learned he's not the only police officer suspected of breaking the law.
It also confirms that we do have a problem with law enforcement working for the other side.
Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office has declined to comment, and Bongiovanni's attorney has denied that the Mafia has anything to do with the allegations that he is fighting in court. For the I-Team, Charlie Specht, 7 Eyewitness News.